Welcome to the latest episode of Next Slide, Please, the podcast that helps non-designers up their game when it comes to presentations and helps designers hate PowerPoint just slightly less. In this episode, we ask the question, can Claude Design?
What are your first reactions?
Mate, this is
Like
absurd.
one prompt. I'm talking about one
what
prompt.
is it? It's been 10 minutes since we started recording.
Can you imagine?
You do this website to me in 10 minutes? You joking or what?
So what do you guys think about that clip? I mean, they're obviously kind of blown away by what Claude can do, not just because it can do that, but when they compare it to Lovable, which is another web design, AI-driven web design app.
I think this is great to get you past that blank page syndrome. I think that's if you're staring at a blank page and you really don't know how to start, then these tools or similar will get you going. If it's going to get the plane off the ground and all you need to do is keep it up in the air, cool. If you want to use it to brief someone else to get you going or bring it into your brand guidelines, which we'll talk about later, then cool.
Yeah, I think I was just shocked at how quick it was, and it actually did a relatively good job, which looked kind of nice at first glance. But I think, if you actually had to work with that design, I feel like it still feels quite AI generated and maybe quite similar to lots of other outputs that it makes.
What you've just said there, I want to pick up on the word speed, because it does something quickly. It gets you off the blank page quickly, and which is great to start. But I think everybody's lulled into the speed that will get you to a conclusion.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me is about the drift. So whenever I've done stuff in AI, you get a not bad version 1, but then if you want to go back to it and tweak it, it doesn't give you the same version with tweaks. It gives you a new version that's gone slightly somewhere else, and that might be wrong as well. And so, to your point, Andy, it's not stuff we can ship because you can't kind of go back and tweaking it and perfecting it. And like you say, if you're in a company and you just need to get a quick presentation out and it's one and done and it's taken you less than a minute, happy days. But the kind of stuff that presentation designers are doing, the reason why people are paying us to make decks is we want high quality. So we need to tweak it and get it right and tweak it and finesse it. And for me, AI just can't do that. It's the second version is like wrong in a different way. It's like putting a jelly in a Tupperware. You squeeze it one way and a bit squeezes out that side. You squeeze it another way that side, but you can't get it all in.
At what point do you download what you've started and then start to fix it yourself? Now, that's fine for me as a designer. I'm looking at that, look at what I'm getting output and going, well, I know what to do now. I'll tweak that, I'll change that, I'll move this, I'll align that, because that's what I do. But for a non-designer who's going to burn through like a bunch of credits while they go, oh, can we just add this, move that, change that? The font size isn't the same. That isn't aligned properly with this. The stuff that a human can instantly spot.
Yeah, and I think then the time that it's taken them to create that in that example actually becomes a bit false because, yes, that's version 1, but, to Mark's point, version 2 might be totally different. And then it's like, do I download it? And now I'm having to change it. So, yes, it's stopped you having a blank page very, very quickly. But I think the overall time is probably still needs to be invested in it.
Yeah, it's a question of is it worth more time building it yourself manually where you know what you're doing, or having it do it really quick and then fix it? It's like, for me, there's not kind of a clear winner there just yet. I think maybe in the future, as it gets better and better and better, then it'll be like, oh, look, there's not too many mistakes. Let's jump in and manually fix it. But for right now, I think, I think it's the other way.
Well, see, that's if once you're getting it to do something within the parameters of a template that you've told it to use, and it's the agreed format, as in you're not going to have an issue with things aligning or things being in the wrong point size or in the wrong color, because it's following a template that you've already predefined. All of those issues go out the window. That will happen without a doubt. I mean, where were we 6 months, a year ago? These tools weren't even anywhere near what they can do now. So where are we going to be in 6 months' time? All these things that we're griping about now, they're gone. They're fixed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not building master pages right now. And Mark had asked about why we were looking at a clip when I showed that clip of some web designers watching Claude build a website. And I think it's important to say it's not building master pages, because right now when you ask Claude Design to do a presentation, it's actually creating an HTML file. All of the files are in HTML. I think that's one of the things that has held PowerPoint back, is it's working with legacy code and trying to, plug AI into that. If you look at all the really good presentation design software that's out there right now, I say good in quotation marks, like Gamma and Chronicle and Pitch, etc. They're all based on HTML template-driven design, because that's been going on in web design design for years.
Right?
Yeah. And so that's why I shared this clip of some web designers, because they've been under attack from AI, or under attack. They've been dealing with AI for even longer than we have, and templated design. I think it's good to look at that, because that's where we're going. To your point, Andy, I think design systems are the goal. To have a good design system that gives you the branding that you want. And you can import a Figma file or some other file into Claude and make those definitions for your brand, et cetera, on the colors and the fonts and all that. Unfortunately, there's another clip that I'm going to share right now.
If you compare that result with what the result is, if we didn't give it any guardrails, like a design system, you notice that the design is not as good with the design system versus if I just had let AI do its thing. So that's where there's still a lot of maturing that needs to happen in the AI space.
And if you look at that clip, you'll see that they're finding that it's picking a tertiary color and using that as a primary color. It's defining some font that was not in their list. So again, drift when it comes to AI is a real thing. At some point, that's, to your point, Andy, the future is these design systems are going to be working, and we got to keep track of that, because everything changes every 3 weeks.
Interesting on that, because I remember when you first mentioned about these clips, and my instinct when I started to play with Claude Design was just before I even started, because I used our template. I used our system, our colors, our fonts, and I'd instantly just put them all in before I even started to make anything. But that was my instinct to do so.
As a designer,
now,
yep.
Exactly. So, and we always talk about, well, let's help non-designers do stuff. And the first thing we do is give them a robust set of tools to say, stick to this playground and you're good to go. Here's some guidelines to work to, i.e. your system, your design system, as regards to web designers, they've got stuff baked in with their CSS, or with us, it's our master pages or the theme, or some centralized system whereby you predefine what the brand guardian has said. Here's the brand guidelines. Follow this. Everybody follow this. And as I always bang on about, consistency builds trust. Well, away we go.
You can't,
right?
The empty prompt. Yeah, you can't get away with a magic prompt like that. You got to do some work up front, right?
Exactly. And so, to your point, like whether they're creating a web design or whether they're creating a deck and someone's going to upload a picture and go follow that, and there's some variables in there, because it's like, well, is that the primary color, or is that the tertiary color, or secondary color? Is my headline font this? It's making some assumptions, and the more you tell it, the better the outcome is going to be.
But that's, I think, where you might want to try, Claude built into PowerPoint, because that version of Claude can use templates and does get them right from what I've seen. And I think we're going to talk about that in another episode, aren't we?
Can I just play devil's advocate here? I mean, I don't know why we're talking about Claude Design, to be honest with you. And the reason that I say that is I've been using AI to build presentation decks for discovery calls for clients for a while now. And I've had clients, when I show them a discovery deck, I'll ask them, can you give me 10 bullet points with a couple bullet points for each one of those bullet points, outline of what you want, you think you want, etc. And I'll build a deck in Gamma or Chronicle or some other AI-driven design app. And I'll show that presentation to people, and they're like, I've had clients say to me, that's good enough. They've already paid me a retainer. And I'm like, yeah, but you paid me for the work. And they take that AI-driven design deck and go and use it for a pitch for some new project or something like that. I've had 2 clients do that. So it's not just one, not a lot, but I've had 2 say it's good enough. I think someone used the word good enough earlier in the conversation. So, but when I tried,
Mark's point though, that was a one hit, right?
I'm sorry, one hit?
Like a one hit in terms of good enough. I only need to use this deck once.
Exactly.
One and done. I think was the term. The
100%. So like, yeah. So to your point, like an internal meeting or something like that. One of the cases, it was an interview for an executive position, and the guy just wanted a resume as a presentation, as kind of a pitch deck presentation to get the job. And so that is a one and done. No one's going to go and look at the masters. He doesn't have to use that deck again and all the rest of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The other one was actually for a pitch for a new project, but it was again an internal meeting. So that's 100% true. But when I went and did a similar thing, I took that same outline and I put it into Claude Design, and I also put it into Claude Desktop. I didn't get anything that great because Claude, it doesn't generate images. It'll go out and search images, or you can give it a folder, or you can give it URLs. It's a lot of work. You don't have to do that in Gamma. So I think this shiny new object was another term that somebody used early in the discussion. I think Claude Design is the shiny new object. I'm not saying it's not incredible, because you can automate your whole back end, your email, your data system, all that stuff with Claude, and build a presentation with it, which Gamma can't do, or Chronicle, or any of these other beautiful AI or whatever. It is like an all-in-one tool. So it's incredible. But when it comes to design, I don't think that it's, for especially presentation design, I don't think it's that great, because it's creating HTML pages and you then convert to PowerPoint. One tip I'll give you, because presentations are not static, if you want something that actually has some motion in it, ask Claude to build an animation. It'll add in JavaScript to the HTML, and you actually have builds in it. And when you export to PowerPoint, then you will have builds in your deck. And we need something that's got some motion in there.
Yeah, it's a really good tip.
Yeah, and I've seen some nice examples of animation with Claude Design. But the thing is, all the people doing those animations are all designers, right? So I think that's the level that AI is at. A lot of people are getting nice, like you say, that'll do decks, but all of the high-end stuff is done by designers. And so I think we've got to treat it like it's just another tool in a designer's arsenal, rather than this is something for everybody and it's easy. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like a new pan that's come out, a new pan technology, and they give it to a chef, and a chef goes, look at this thing I did in half the time. Like, that's great. And then you give it to somebody else and they can maybe make some sausages or some fried egg quicker, but they're not suddenly going to be able to make, some crazy beef Wellington in half the time sort of thing. That's how I see it.
I'm feeling hungry now.
Any of these tools, I mean, regardless of what they are, whether it's Claude Design or AI-driven tools, the ones that you mentioned, PK, that you've been using. And in actual fact, you already touched on, you were thinking, this is great for a prototype. I can show someone this, and they go away and use it. So, okay, we're done. So, what? So and if I was to show that to my old boss, he'd just show me the door. Out. Away you go. So I mean, yeah, look, use it for iterations to get you started. We mentioned about the get you off the blank page. Use it to get you going, and then get that consistency in there. Bring it into the fold when it comes to your brand guidelines. If you think that's good enough to ship, I'm wondering how long people are going to accept that. How long are we going to accept that's good enough and realize we really need the professionals back in because it's not up to scratch anymore?
Well, I mean, good enough has always been our arch nemesis as presentation designers, right? I mean, it's always been like, I'm going to slap this together and this is good enough. Oh, no, it's not. we need it. We need you to come in and fix this by tomorrow, or they don't hire us because they figure they can do it themselves, etc. Good enough has always been our nemesis. There's no two ways about it. And we just have a new version of it in AI. And I think designers are able will be able to deal with that and adapt to it, I think.
So the next thing I want to talk about is kind of tokens, right? So a lot of these tools are free for now. They're starting to like reduce what you get for free. And then if you take them on board and you start working with them, you get a certain number of tokens. And once you run out of tokens, it can take a week to reset sometimes, even if you're on a really high plan. So, that's going to be a massive cost increase for all levels of this. And the thing is as well, you don't tend to just have one AI tool, right? So you like, you need Claude for this, and you need Gemini for that, and you need ChatGPT for that. So it's kind of like doubling, tripling, quadrupling your cost base.
Yeah, I agree.
I've
had to put a pause on my Midjourney because I was just paying for it each month, and I'm like, I haven't actually used it recently. I've been doing in photo or in image editing, which has been plugins within Photoshop. Banana, change something within an image, but creating an image from scratch like a photographer would, with the style references and what have you. I'm like, well, I've just spent in the last 3 months like $12 a month, and I've not used it, so I'm going to put a pause on that. And I'm now having to reevaluate every month, like, well, where are all my subscription guys? So my costs are increasing just to stay on top of all these AI tools. So, and I can't be the only one, right?
No, I did a similar thing, and I wrote down all of my subscriptions, and I was like blown away by how many I'd added in the last sort of 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
and you have to have these different subscriptions for different things. I mean, and you use different tools for different things. I use Firefly, Adobe's Firefly, when I need to do a really widescreen image, 5:19 or some super wide LED screen for an event, because it's the only one that will actually generate something almost big enough. I still have to do composites, etc., to get a super widescreen image, etc. But when I'm working on an event, I need Firefly. I need ChatGPT for my copy. I still use ChatGPT. I use Claude for building, front ends on stuff. It's like you do need all these different subscriptions, and I still have a subscription to Gamma, various different apps. Elon says that tokens are going to be more plentiful and cheaper as a result of that deal that he inked with Anthropic. But I'm not going to cast any shade on Elon and his character here. But I mean, when you think about it, tokens are subsidized right now, right? I although he says everything's cheaper, I got to believe as time goes on, these things may actually get more expensive. Who knows? Because they are subsidized by companies right now. But it's easy to run on a big project. It's easy to run out of tokens. I've run into that issue myself.
It feels like it's going to be like the Adobe subscription times 4, and that was already a pain,
Uber definitely learned that the hard way. They got all their engineers to start using Claude, and they basically burned through a $3.4 billion AI budget for 2026. And they've already done that, and it's only May. So
That
So,
was the
yeah.
budget for 2026 already burned through.
2026, yeah,
Oh
and
my
by
God.
May it had gone.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's true to say that you can save money by using AI. I just think the cost is maybe becoming a bit less visible, maybe where it sits and who it sits with and who you're paying. Yeah,
I mean,
and imagine working to a deadline and you've run out of your tokens and you're thinking, I can't wait a week to, because I'm a non-designer, let's say I'm a non-designer, I don't know how to do it, export it and do my own changes. That's going to not go down
Totally
very
helping
well, I don't
Anthony.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally helping Anthony.
I was building a front end for my storyboarding tool, and in Claude, and using Cowork, and within a day I'd burned through my pro plan, which is $20 a month. It prompted me to just add in credits as needed to finish building this tool.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know how it didn't define how much extra it was going to cost me to just use it as I needed it.
Right.
And the max plan was $100, and so I just stopped. I just waited for it to reset. But yeah, I mean, Emma brought up a good point. I think we're all going to have, whether we're freelance or we're in-house with an organization, there's going to be a budget for designers to use AI. And there's only going to be a certain number of credits, right, that we're going to get to use AI.
And I think we've all tried to ask for a really useful tool, from various employers or clients, and there's been a lot of pushback, and that might have only been a £20 to £30 tool, which is going to really help you, and it gets blocked. I'm sure you guys have had the same, and I think a lot of people are embracing AI and want to implement it across their company, but I think there is still a lot of worry out there about that budget because it's not really defined and it could sort of creep up quite easily. And I think there is also that worry around security, sort of embedding it for everybody in a company. That's quite hard to manage and quite hard to keep tabs on what's being sent out. And do you declare that it's AI generated? It's a bit of a let's not go there kind of moment.
Software is always by seat, right? And if you've got a team of 50 people, like someone's going to go into a room and go, oh, can we get budget for this? Oh yeah, you can do it all for free, right? And it's like, well, actually, no. Of the 50 people that we've got in the team, I need to enable like 30 of them. And you're like, well, hang on a minute, that's starting to be a bit more money. Are we sure we want to do this? So
yeah. Like I remember when I was at Apple, because we weren't the design team, we had like a couple of Adobe licenses to share between us. And it was like, somebody passing around the sandwich. It's like, come on, you have a bite now, you have a go. And so
sharing login
AI,
credentials.
It's like, Jeff is already logged in on this account. It's like, oh, come on, Jeff.
Where's Jeff?
Get out of there.
What? He's left it.
Yeah, and we're not the sales team. We're not the executive circle, so we're not going to get the same budget. We're designers, right? It's like if you're in house, you're not going to get the same budget as other departments, I think.
Yeah. And then if you're freelance, you're going to have to massively ramp up your rates because you're using this tool and that tool and the other tool and the other tool, and you get a great result, but
it's
who's going to want to pay for all of that?
Yeah, and I've spoken to other freelancers, so in the design space, but not necessarily in presentation design specifically. And I think they've found a handful of clients really pushing back on AI and actually having something written into the contract to say, this project will not be generated using AI, and where it is, I'll have to declare it almost. So that's an interesting way, which some companies might go down.
I mean, as a designer, you can't nowadays for certain jobs, I can't not use AI. And when I go to certain events that I support, they know me as the AI chap who's able to do X, Y, and Z with AI. So I've got to have that budget. It's like it's got to be built into whatever my day rate is or my freelancer's rate. I've got to build that in there. It's funny. because you compare that to other people. We're talking about the cost of this because it's one more subscription for us. You compare it to people who are using Claude to automate their business, and they're saving so much money not having somebody, entering data in a spreadsheet to keep track of their invoices and all the rest of it. For them, $100 a month or whatever, 100 quid wherever you are, that's cheap compared to what they're paying for all these people whose work they're replacing with it. So yeah, I mean, it's different for different use cases, different value in terms of how much it is.
Really, really valid point. And we're sometimes in that design bubble, aren't we? So it's stuff that we do. Well, it's true. I wouldn't. The amount of times I need to do or perform a task that you've just described is minimal in comparison to a team of people that are number crunching and going through contracts and what have you. I don't have to do that very much. But what the interesting point for me is, okay, so to Emma's point, declare and I've used AI. Right. So the image that I needed to use, whether that's been supplied to me or I found it for the client and I need to extend the background to make it fit the shape. That's an AI tool right there. Whether it's in Photoshop or Nano Banana, or I use it to
Canva does
make
that really
a new
well.
image. So does that mean then I need to declare that as I mean that's an everyday part of there's nothing new there. Extending the background, we used to do it in Photoshop manually, and it would take 3 hours. Now it's 30 seconds, and it means I can spend more time on the crafting the page because I haven't got to worry about the legwork that is required to extend the background of an image because it's square and I need it 16 by 9.
Yeah.
I mean, it's positive because PowerPoint has new image editing tools driven by AI that are actually good. I mean, removing the background used to be really good in PowerPoint, and then it went really horrible for so long, and now it's gotten good again, right? It's like you guys have tried those out, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it works really well.
Yeah, I tried the old remove background once and went, never doing that again. and then now it's like, well, give that a go. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. We can use that. But you see, this is an interesting point for me because it leads me on to tools within tools and when you should use them. And this is a wider thing. So, for example, I'm guessing we all use a noun project, right? No, we all know the noun project. And there's a noun project plugin for PowerPoint, for example. And I need an icon. I can really quickly go and get a really good icon. And from my design brain, it's like it needs to be an outline, not a solid fill, because they're all outlines, not solid fills. I can go and get one and I drop it into the tool. All right. Or I might use pixels to go and get an image and drop it into the deck. But my clients, more often than not, they need that same icon, image, graphic, what have you, not just on the deck, but in every channel. So bringing something in for a one-shot use on a page, that doesn't help me. I download them to a folder, keep them on a folder, and I'll say to the client, keep these assets in your SharePoint folder, or I'll upload them for them into their Canva elements to say, when you go into your social media, make sure you use this icon. It's called this. I've put it on this slide for you as requested. But to be consistent, make sure you use the same icon on the social media stuff that I've set up for you. Yeah.
If you've ever watched this podcast called The Rest is Politics, and you might not be because you might not be as fascinated by politics as I am, but there's two guys from the UK, and one of them always does an explainer because he, thinks about the lowest common denominator. People might not know what people are talking about, so I feel like I'm going to jump in and do that here about the Noun project. So you might not know what it is, but it's probably literally the first subscription I buy. I mean, obviously it's on repeat now, but it was the first thing I did when I set up business myself. It's a website. It's called thenounproject.com, and basically a bunch of designers submit their icons to this website, and you can go in there and search for anything you need an icon for, and it'll give you 100,000 results. And then you can go one you like. And then one thing that I nearly always do is I've got a couple of favorite designers on there. That's how sad I am. And I've even contacted them. That's even more how sad I am. But what you can do is once you find an icon you like, you can go to that designer and then you can search just that designer's stuff. And some of them have got like 10,000 icons. And so they'll have something that you need, and they'll all look like the other icon that you liked. So it might have the same line weight and it might have the same shapes. So for our novice audience, definitely go to the nounproject.com and bookmark it. It's killer. It's great.
Yeah, good explainer there, Mark. Yeah, I went straight for the designer there. So thanks for saving me.
Oh, good.
So we've spoken a bit about financial costs. Has anybody got any thoughts on the kind of environmental cost? I mean, this is not necessarily just Claude, and it's kind of AI in general, I guess. AI kind of feels weightless because it's somewhere up in the cloud and we don't kind of see it with our eyes. But I think every prompt, every thousands of engineers using them, every prompt is burning through sort of real energy. They need, lots and lots of water and lots of infrastructure built in various different places across the world. And I don't know, I think people are talking about that cost, but maybe it just seems a little bit further away.
It's like invisible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's to me, it's a bit like so I live in a different part of the UK, and when I drive up there, it takes me about 4 hours. And before, it wasn't green fields. Don't get me wrong. The UK is really not overpopulated, but quite densely populated, right? So when you drive up the motorway, there's always something. There isn't just miles and miles of field. But over the last 5 years, nearly everywhere are these giant Amazon warehouses appearing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is then going to be giant data centers appearing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's that hidden cost. And yes, you're right. Some people talk about it, but I think it's not quantifiable yet. And because it's not in your face, all you're seeing is like, happy clappy, click this, my deck's done in, 20 seconds and I'm off. You're not seeing that background cost and how the world is changing. And yeah, to your point, totally, like the amount of water it uses, because essentially it's a processor or a computer running somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not on your desktop, but somewhere in a big metal box the other side of the world, something's getting really hot just because you want to find, travel tips for the next time you visit Marbella or something like that. So yeah, I think you're right. It's a really scary thing. It's a little bit as well. We've got an electric car quite recently. And again, we're very holier than thou now. We're saving the world single-handedly. But where's that electricity coming from? Is it a coal-fired power station somewhere?
Yeah, and the energy it takes to make the batteries as well, Mark. You still got to make the batteries.
Yeah.
And dispose of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Emma's point here, the costs that we don't see or that we don't want to think about, because I think that's we do need to think about that. Mark, they're trying to build a data center here in Tucson. We live in the Sonoran Desert. Water is a scarcity. It's called Project Blue, and they want to build a giant data center here, and to cool it, they're going to use water. And we get 300 plus days of sunshine a year. It's warm here.
Yeah.
That's going to take a lot of water. So, when Emma brings this point up, it's if it's not, in your backyard, it's in someone else's backyard, and it does affect, it's going to affect the water table here, they say, etc. People are really fighting against it, but then it's going to go somewhere else. So yeah, this is a question. Yeah, I just think I think there are better places to put a data center, but then that's going to sound like I'm a NIMBY now. But anyway,
I was thinking you made a great advert for having data centers in the UK, because we don't really have that constant heat problem. We could just be an island of data centers and we'd be all right.
Not right now, you don't. Yeah.
Can we extract the heat? Maybe we can use it as central heating.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Warm up a bit. Yeah.
There you go. So
I
can
wanted
we
to bring
go?
us back to the. I want to bring us back to the point of the Mark's point about the drift. I mentioned earlier about the Claude Design, and at what point do you go, that's enough to get me off the blank page, and then download it into PowerPoint and fix things myself? I mean, I made a little list of all these things that I instantly saw, and they jumped out off the page. Like, so for example, there wasn't a smart quote in sight. Now, don't even get me started on. Do you see
Don't
Easy,
start him
Andy.
off on
Easy.
start quotes.
I know that's your thing.
Trigger moment. Anyone who's connected with me on LinkedIn will every once in a while will see me going off about the correct use of apostrophes. I have previous on this. So I actually, and that prompted me to go back into Claude itself. I got Claude to create me an MD file that I keep in my projects folder that marks up how I want type to appear on the screen. So I told it never, ever use feet and inches, to always use a smart quote. And then once I told it to do that, it wrote me a half a dozen more, and then said, oh, actually, here's some, and wrote me a whole markup for how I want type to appear. So that was the first thing. That was my and then there were no bespoke color themes. It exported a standard Office theme. So am I going to be able to write a markup file for that so that it's going to make the thing for me?
Can I raise my everyman hat again? What's an MD file, Andy?
Oh, right. Okay. So you a .md file is a Claude skill. So if you're clever, what you'll do is within Claude, you'll have a projects folder, and in that projects folder, you'll put all of the conversations that you have, all the threads, and in that folder, you will have you'll put your skills. So I've got a few of these now that it defines me, how I speak, how I write, particularly how I do the typography. Like, never ever use an inch mark. I've got another skill that is never ever use. No, I told it that M dashes aren't banned, but they should only be used in the right way. I will use a comma. I will often start a sentence with and, comma, or but, comma, or comma. So when it starts to write for me, it knows what I do want and what I don't want. And so I told it, I don't want you to ever use what he described as a prime mark, like a feet and inches. Now, Claude Design is not in Claude yet. So when it does become, or when it is introduced into the fold, it will access these MD files or these skills. And that is when we'll start to see all your do's and don'ts coming in. And interestingly, those who are in control of a lot of these do's and don'ts will help define them and how and make you more attractive to a client, because you've got all of these stuff built into the tools that they are already using, AI tools, etc.
People are sharing skills, Mark, and a skill is just a text file, and a text file that outlines in words, because Claude can understand basic language, exactly how you want it to operate. And you can actually take one of those MD files, one of those skills or whatever, and drop it into a chat in any Claude window and tell it to read that and then use that as the basis. Yeah.
But when you do it in a project, it reads the MD files before it reads the conversation. So it's already predefined.
Right, exactly.
I think what this goes to prove, though, is just what we were talking about earlier, right? That this is still in the level of the designer, of the expert. This isn't in your average, I need a deck in 5 minutes.
It's true.
Area, right? Because they're not going to they're not going to scour the web for the right skills or build their own skills, or that's going to be, these guys are busy doing their day job, which is kind of like making decisions and getting approvals, then they're not going to jump into these tools and worry about this kind of thing. So yeah, again, I think it really emphasizes our point that it's an extra tool for a designer. It can work on their level too for a once and done that we talked about before, but it's not.
You can tell it to do X, Y, Z, and then like step up from that is design systems. So actually building a design system, that's like you're saying, Mark, that feels like quite an expert thing to do, and also fairly time consuming at the front end. I know also, I'm not sure if it's getting it quite right at the moment. So there's been some chat, some people I follow, like the UI Design Collective, they're actually finding, and I think Andy alluded to it, is like using a design system actually reduces the quality of what it spits out. It's not actually that helpful. It's actually better if you just let it do its own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they haven't got that quite right.
I mean, on the skills as a commodity, people are sharing, like, to pick up on PK's point. I've collated or created 500 skills, so you don't have to. Comment skills in and connect with me, and you can have them all for free. It's like, okay, yep, I get what you're doing. You're LinkedIn influencer that you are, but I think the other thing that you need to be very, very careful of is you need to go through every single one of those 500 skills and double check them all, because they may be contradicting the other stuff that you've set up about you. So you need to be very, very careful, because people are using them as a currency, if you like, just to get more likes on their social media feed. So you've got to be careful. And this comes back to the point about curation and creation. Like, you need to make sure, is it right for you? Is it right for your brand?
Yeah, just going back to Mark's point about the, people who are listening don't necessarily know they haven't been playing with Claude. You can build your own skill by just going in and chatting with Claude and asking it to save that conversation, the parameters that you lay out. It's a conversation that you have with Claude, and you build all these parameters. More parameters you build, the more precise you are, the better it is. And you can save that. And I think, to Andy's point, some of these skills are going to become incredibly valuable, because that takes time to sit there and chat with Claude and say, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do this. You got this right, but you didn't quite get that right. And to hone that skill. And to Emma's point about design systems, I've seen that too. I've seen where you set up a design system thinking that you want it to use this font, thinking you want to use this color. I did it in Claude, and it did not grab the font, even though it was a Google font that's available out on the web. It still couldn't grab it. It wanted me to drop it into the conversation. So yeah, I think design systems skills are the future. But going back to the drift issue, it's like sometimes it kind of ignores it, or it'll pick out something that's tertiary and make that the primary thing. So there's a lot of room for improvement in that regard. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about. There's Dave. We're talking about design systems, and you can upload a Figma file into Claude Design to give it that look and feel that you want it to have. I'm just wondering whether at Config in June there's going to be some sort of an announcement of a collaboration between Claude Design and Figma. I think you need to watch this space in that regard.
Yeah, that's
sure.
interesting.
Yeah, interesting point.
I think Canva is the one to watch. I know how much I love Canva, guys. But they've been going really, really hard on AI for a while now, and it's pretty powerful in there. And I think they're trying to take it towards that kind of creative operating system. So lots of different pieces across lots of different outputs, and you can use one platform and it does it all. So they've got brand kits already, which you can use across different documents. You can do social media, you can do documents. It's still a bit lacking for me as a presentation designer on the slide side of things. But like you're saying, if it's a kind of one-off, good to go, it's pretty good. It's certainly good on the design side of things. I think what it spits out is less generic and looks pretty good. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe there's a bit of an announcement, maybe at Canva Create 2027.
So that's it for this episode of Next Slide Please. Thank you so much for listening. You can find Next Slide Please and the whole team on LinkedIn. Links are in the description below. We would love to hear from you. We are a friendly bunch. Anything that you don't like, you can tell us. Anything that you do like, please tell everyone else. See you on the next episode of Next Slide Please.